All right. Hi, folks. Mel Emery here. Welcome to Cash Machine in what is another in a series of live Q&A calls we have for you as part of the program. But more importantly, and we do have, by the way, a few questions that have come in this time. Always disappointed that we don't see many questions coming through. Not sure if you guys are doing the work or not. You should have some questions for me. We'd love to answer them. But more importantly, what I've done is taken the liberty and gone to the trouble of inviting some successful people who started out with me pretty much clueless at some point in time, similar to yourself, where this information marketing business is concerned. And one of those folks is Craig Whitley, and Craig's with us today. So Craig, say hello to everyone, mate.
Hi everyone, how you going? Thanks for having me.
Welcome, buddy. I'm going to try and advance this slide here. I'm trying my luck. Jace, how do you advance the slide? I've pressed the button. There it is. Got it this time. So there's Craig, handsome looking fella he is. Craig, how long have we known each other, mate?
Probably 12 years now, I'd say.
Okay, so time does fly. And you essentially turned up in my environment, that is, marketing environment, pretty clueless as far as marketing and certainly the information business is concerned. But can you tell the folks what you were doing and what brought you to seek out help where your business was concerned, and tell the people what that business was, mate?
Yeah, sure. I traditionally have a building background, which I was reasonably successful with, and I was fortunate enough to have a year off. The problem was I got bored after about 3 months and started looking for something else to do. And I ended up buying 2 hair salons. I knew nothing about it. I ended up with 23 staff, all female, under 21. And, it was a big business. It was going okay. And I realised after about the first 3 months that I didn't know what I was doing, and it started to go backwards pretty quickly. I did a bit of research and found a marketing system that was specific for beauty and hair salons. I bought that. I got to know the guy, and it turned out that he also had done a lot of work with you, Mel. And then I got to know you through that. Turned my business around in the hair salons, basically went from 600 grand to 1.2 million in turnover in 6 months, just from the stuff that I'd learned. So, and then the next logical step was to move into your marketing environment and really learn the nuts and bolts of how it all worked and why it worked, so I could implement it even further.
Yeah, so that guy you're talking about is Greg Milner, of course. Greg turned up as a journalist originally, and I played a big part in niching him into the hair and beauty salon industry, that is educating that industry, and he's gone on to build one of the biggest information marketing businesses in the world. Probably in that niche you'd have to say he owns it worldwide. So again, small beginnings, but it's interesting how you found your way to my environment, that you came via another member. And then you signed up and joined yourself, and that's when I suppose you were interested, you were introduced to what it is that Greg was actually doing and where he learnt that information. It's interesting, mate, that you bought 2 hair salons. You don't do anything in halves, do you, mate?
No, I don't do anything in halves. I figure, well, know me by now very well. Bite exactly. More than you can chew, and bite and chew like hell. And I've got to do that. I'm only a small guy, but Christ, I have a go. And you know what? You just keep putting one foot forward, and it works.
You certainly brought it on. There's no doubt about that. Imagine going from knowing nothing about an industry, buying 2 of them, and inheriting 20-odd women under 21. If you never ever needed sorting out, that was going to sort you out. But interestingly enough, you sold those, didn't you, ultimately?
Yeah, eventually I did sell them. I had them for 5 years. In the end, I sort of, I built them up and ended up selling them off. But what I found was, and it didn't take me very long to realise it once I was around you and what you were doing, I realised that the lifestyle and the money was in selling information to people, you know, doing seminars, training people on business, on sales, and you know, I got into that pretty quickly. You know? So
Yeah.
that took me definitely down that road.
Yeah, well, that's the realisation, and a lot of the folks, I mean, you know, we sat here and named them all, we'd know that most of them started in traditional business, and then they came to the realisation that it was a hard graft, and that nothing quite compares with the information marketing business, which, you know, we could list all those reasons why. I've listed them many times, so we're not going to do it again here, and these guys have got the information themselves and they can review it. But, you know, I've owned lots of businesses. I've just built a childcare business. I've just done the maths on that and looked at the accounts, and it's a pretty good bloody business, and I don't work in it for 5 minutes. But having said that, I've never seen anything make money faster than the information marketing business. And of course, the world today is attuned to that sort of information more than ever before. So how did you make that transition, Craig? I have some concept of how you made it, but can you tell the folks how you made that transition from, you know, ordinary traditional bricks and mortar business owner to an information marketer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I suppose if you go back to the basics of how it happened and the nuts and bolts of what happened, I was actually, you were running a big seminar in Sydney at the time. I was already part of your environment. I volunteered to crew at that event because I knew that the more I could learn and the quicker I could learn it, the better it would be. And you had a whole series of speakers. They're selling products, making, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars in an hour talking. And to most people, they probably don't grasp that whole concept yet. But there was one particular speaker that you brought in from America who caught my eye. He was up there teaching some things. I took some big steps, got his attention basically, and you then put on an event with him, teaching people how to speak from stage, how to sell from stage. And I really sort of grasped that. I thought, well, this is the way I need to go. So I did that training. By the end of that training, I was actually the Australian representative for, it was Joel Bauer, for his product in Australia. I did a deal with him and also represent or managed him in Australia as well. And that was sort of the start of my journey, I suppose. But the big thing was I took massive steps. You know, I can't stress that enough. If you're going to do something, take massive, massive steps, because if you don't, you're wasting your time. So that was the start of how I got into the industry. From there, I was managing him in Australia, and you know all about this, and I was still in your environment at the time and working along with you. I met another promoter in Australia who did seminars for personal development, and we ended up partnering up together for, you know, the last 8 years in life. She had a business that was successful. And, you know, I got involved, and together we turned that around and turned it into a multi-million dollar business.
So can I ask you what the product was, and can you give the guys some idea of what that looks like? What does a multi-million dollar business look like in the information arena? In mind, I know you're going to tell them you're doing seminars and you're offering a service, or just give the guys some insight into that.
Yeah, there's a process. I mean, you can't get a group of people into a room and sell them a $100,000 program off the bat. You have to put them through an ascension model, is probably the best way to explain it. You've always called it that. So we had a personal development business which was based around neuro-linguistic programming. So we had a program that we would basically offer for free, get them in the door, then we would upsell them other programs. But the secret that I worked out very, very quickly, and you always talked about it and I got it straight away, was selling money in a vacuum. And what that is selling the opportunity for people to be able to make money through systems that you've developed that you offer them so they can make money very easily and very quickly. And that is the secret to making money in the information business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Craig. There are other ways to skin that cat, and it can be successfully done, but there's without any doubt whatsoever, and again, you could name the list of folks you hung out with in my environment. Today, some of them are the who's who of the information marketing world, worldwide, and certainly, in Australia. All of them, sell money at a discount in a vacuum. By that I mean they're in the business of helping other people make money because that's the best product on the planet to sell, the opportunity to make money. And you did, along with these folks, it was like an epiphany and the light bulbs went on. And I call it selling your success to people that want it more than you do. That's exactly what Jim's mowing does. Sure, he's not in the information marketing business, but to give you some framework, that's exactly what he does. He doesn't mow a lawn. He sells the opportunity for other people to mow a lawn, and that's why he's so damn successful. But nothing's as good as the information marketing business as a model where this is concerned. So are you able to share with us so if I could just recap, so you had an ordaining program where you ordained people on how to be or how to do neuro-linguistic programming, and they came out with a certification. Is that correct, Craig?
Yeah, sure. So that was our basic program.
And that was
training.
Yeah, free, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did it. It wasn't originally when I first teamed up with Roberta. It was sort of $600-700, and it ended up basically we did it for $97, which was just an admin fee. So the thing was, this is the interesting part. All of our competition around the world was selling the same program for a minimum of $4,000 to $8,000.
Yep.
And we gave it away.
Yep.
So
yep.
They would have 20 people in a room. We'd have 500 or 600 in a room for 4 days.
Yep. So I hope
during those 4 days we.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yep. During those 4 days, we would sell them all our advanced programs ranging from $3,000 to $10,000. And in 4 days, we'd do $500,000 in sales.
Yeah. So
and we used to do that in 4 years, in 4 weeks. So we did $2 million in 4 weeks.
So there's some genius in that, and you'll remember that's give away part of a profit you don't have to get a profit you never would have had, where your competitors were making their money, and so was Roberta when you met her. She was making her money selling how to do neuro-linguistic programming. And what you did is you made your bonus your product, which is beautiful, Craig. I just love what you did there. You gave away that thing that other people are charging for. If you can ever find a scenario where you can do that, it's like an opportunity to print money. So everyone else is trying to make money out of it, but you have another way of making money from that process. So that's a fair description of what you did, right?
Yeah, sure. And the thing was leverage. If you've got 20 people in a room, you can only sell so much product. And it's all a numbers game. Only 10 to 20% of people will buy from you. The rest will go, oh, that's great, we'll buy another day, and they never do.
Yep.
So for us to have 300, 400, 500 people in a room, we're selling to 50 or 100 of them. We're selling to more people than the other people have got in their room in total. So the numbers just added up.
Yeah.
The interesting thing was, the one thing that I did learn in the environment through this, speaker training that we did and so forth, and how I did get involved with Joel Bauer and work with him, there's actually a very interesting formula for selling from stage. And once you have that formula and start to use it, the dollars just start flowing in. And I suppose I morphed as well during my time to actually creating sales presentations for speakers, and most of the big name speakers in Australia I worked with created their presentations for them and had some massive success. It was just phenomenal the results that they were getting, and some of them had never spoken before on stage. Some of the people I've worked for, and first time out the gate, 200 grand.
Yeah. So what you did? So what you're
So,
doing there, Craig, is you're creating PowerPoint presentations for people in some cases who had never spoken on their feet before in their lives. But I also am well aware you created them for a bunch of my clients as well, people you met in the environment, and you reworked their PowerPoints and you found them hundreds of thousands of dollars when the next time they spoke. I'm not entirely
sure,
sure. Go ahead, mate.
would you like examples of that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there was a fellow by the name of Aussie Rob, used to sell a software program for share market trading. He came to me, I reworked his PowerPoint presentation. He used to be very successful. You know, do a couple $100,000 each time he'd speak. On a bad day, he'd do 100,000. He was actually at one of your events in Brisbane. I reworked his presentation. First time he used it, 460 grand. The following week, he did another event. I think, where was it, Sydney or Melbourne?
Actually, I think it was New Zealand. We went to New Zealand next, and he did 500 grand in New Zealand as well.
And he did $500,000 there. So $1 million in 2 weeks, or just under. Rick Otten he's a real estate trainer, how to renovate properties, buy and renovate properties. You know, he increased his revenue by 100 grand the next time he used the presentation. God, I know when I first met Roberta, she has a quick cigarettes in 60 minutes business program that she sells, and sells it for $10,000. And when I first saw her present that, she was using a 3x5 card. And I sort of looked at it and went, my God, this is just amazing. I can fix this. So I created a presentation for her at the back of a seminar room, actually. So I was doing it part-time. I didn't even give her any training on how to use it. The first time she used it, she got 120 grand out the gate.
Yeah.
So the formula that we use and we teach, it just works. You know, it's just phenomenal. Ari Galper spoke on Dan Kennedy's stage in America. He'd never been in the industry where he'd spoken on stage. He called me after his presentation in America, did 198,000 US dollars.
Yeah.
The list just goes on and on and on and on. There was another lady, actually, at another one of your events, who spoke at an event in Sydney, I think, with 200 people in the room, and she did 3.5 grand. And Pauline, who worked for you, came up to me and said, Craig, she needs your help. I need you to do something. And she needs to speak in Brisbane the following week. And I said, what do you want me to do about this? And she said, she just needs your help. Can you work with her? So I worked with her for that week. In Sydney she did $3,500. She sold the exact same product the following week and did 350 grand.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a skill, Craig, which people won't master or don't master. Now, the good news is in Cash Machine, I actually cover this complete formula. So I actually give very similar examples to the ones you were given, where I took someone's existing presentation and doubled, quadrupled their sales the following week, just by changing what they say and how they say it. Now, you'll know that in my environment, people used to say, Mel reads his bloody PowerPoints. And, you know, I've gone on stage in front of Donald Trump and read my PowerPoints and done something like 650,000 in sales. Now, you know, I'm not even a good reader, as you well know, Craig. So the point...
That skill.
Sorry, mate?
I said it took you a while to learn that skill.
So the bottom line is, you know, you don't have to have it memorised. You just have to follow the formula. And like I say, in the Cash Machine you have, I thoroughly cover this topic because I have totally mastered that and taught. I was the first person to really teach it in this country, and the event Craig referred to was a joint venture between Joel Bauer and myself, and it was $10,000 for a ticket. Did you remember that, Craig?
Sure do. And you know what he said to me? It was interesting. Here's what happened. I was actually moving house the weekend that training was on. Yeah. The removal was organised, my family was ready to go, we're actually moving. And I called him and I said, I can't make it to your training. and he said, Craig, you'll do whatever you think is right. I got off the phone, I changed the date I was moving, and I made sure I was in Melbourne for that training that you did with him, and changed my life completely.
Yeah, you handled it very well. I mean, let's face it,
I
you know,
thought
you
I,
hadn't come.
thought I knew everything.
Say
I
again?
thought I already knew it now.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's a big mistake, isn't it, Craig?
Big mistake. I knew nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah.
You know,
We're
I'm
all
so glad that he said that to me and I was there, because my life path changed, you know.
So if I continue with that conversation, you turned up to Roberta's environment. She was executing very badly. You saw all the hidden money that she wasn't finding. She was charging.
You know what?
Go ahead, mate.
She was doing okay. I mean, she was
I know.
definitely doing better than the average person would ever do. And I just saw so much more potential because of some of the stuff that I knew, that, you know, I'd been around different people, and we just started implementing systems in place, and you know, working on websites, actually creating products that people wanted, creating presentations to sell them the things that they wanted. I mean, we had a room with a brand new product that had 90 people in it, high-end students, and I created an app for that program. And I stood up, and every person in the room was actually a quit specialist. I stood up in that room and I said, I'll create an app for quit cigarettes in 60 minutes if I get enough people to buy it, and it will be $500. 85% of people in the room bought it.
Mm.
That's, how much is that? That's like, I created
40
grand out of
45 grand, mate. 45, 50.
45 grand in 5 minutes out
Yep.
of nothing. So we just continued to just create stuff that people wanted, and just, you know, put systems into place and made so much money, it wasn't funny.
Yeah, so...
and money that didn't cost anything to deliver. So let's look at that. I created a product that cost me, say, 5 grand to create. I then owned the product, and I sold it over and over and over again, and it cost me nothing to deliver it.
And importantly, you know, you sold it before you made it, after you had the orders in your pocket. Now, you tell me an industry where you can do that. But
that's the only way to do it.
Well, it's one of the best ways. Now,
I made the mistake of making a product that every business in Australia needs by law, and I sold 2 of them.
Yeah, yeah. You got your lessons.
It wasn't sexy. It was created work for them. They need it. By law, they have to have it, but nobody wanted it. So I learned that one very quickly. Sell it first, and, you know, it's like the old scenario. Chew as much as you can, and then, you know, buy it as much as you can and chew like hell. Well, it's the same thing. Sell it and build it real quick, and then deliver it.
Yeah. It's not as if you have a garage full of product either. That's one of the other flip sides of this industry. Even when you've got a product that works like that, you can produce on demand. You know, I've run a multi-million dollar information business on $10,000 worth of product. You know, that's all I had in my garage, so to speak. Again, name an industry where you can do that. And of course, information has a very high perceived value in terms of dollars also, but are very cheap to produce. So even when you have to make it, you know, I always advocate pay a bit more and produce it on demand. Don't fill a garage full of this stuff, because if you had of Craig with that product that everyone needs, you would have finished up with a garage full. I suppose you had a few extras left over, but you probably didn't have a garage full if you took my full advice.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was more the time that it took me to build it, Mal.
Yeah, very time consuming. So yeah, we do it the other way around. We sell it first and then develop it. Now, none of this is based on crappy products, is it, Craig? We make the very best transformational products we can possibly make.
I have actually very high ethics when it comes to selling things. I've had speakers come to me and want my help to sell their product, and, you know, as you know, I was getting $20,000 to build a sales presentation for a speaker, because, you know, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, so it was cheap for them anyway.
Yeah.
And I refused to do work for certain people because I didn't believe in their product.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because I think you've got to have ethics no matter what you do, because if you don't, it comes back and bites you on the bum.
But it's no different to any industry. All industries have, their shady characters. But, that's a choice you got to make as to what you will and won't do for money. That's that list that I
Yeah,
talk about,
it's
and
nice to have the choice.
it's nice to have the list. Yeah, very right. So in relation to Roberta, when you said to her, Roberta, I want you to give away the course you normally charge $600 for, because that's how she made money, and then I want you to sell your other course on the back end of that. I bet you nearly fell off a chair, Craig, when you suggested that.
It took a little while to convince her.
I bet. See, most people can't think like that, Craig, and I've always been a great admirer of how you think. Once, I presented this sort of knowledge and information, it was what you did with it that was most exciting about yourself, in terms of your actual execution and use of it. And you were sitting there, and it was abundantly clear to you exactly what needed to happen to change everything, to the point where, like you say, hundreds and hundreds of, well, millions and millions of dollars by selling the opportunity on the back end because you're in front of 600. So I just don't want the folks listening to this to not get what you just did. It's absolute bloody gold. And of course, it's been sustainable. How long has this business been going, Craig? And I know it's still going.
Yeah, look, it was going for, I think, 3 or 4 years before I came along.
Yeah.
We've been together for 8 years, and she's actually just about to wind it up and take some time off, just because she can. I'm actually taking some time off as well, and we've become very successful and lucky enough to have that choice. So but yeah, so it's been going probably 10, 12 years minimum. And like I said, millions of dollars a year, very, very high profit margins. One year, Mal, we counted 23 overseas trips that we had in a year.
Wow.
That's lifestyle.
Yeah.
They were holidays. Holidays, Mal.
Yeah.
How do you fit that in?
Well, most people can't
Like,
traditional business. It just doesn't happen. And I imagine a fair bit of that might have been tax deductible. You did a bit of work along the way.
it was all for research and other things. But I mean, here's another little story. Remember my 40th birthday party?
I certainly do. I was on the boat.
Yeah, but what did we do? It was like, I'm coming to Sydney, let's do an event. So we threw on an event together, put 60 people in a room and made some money the day before my party. Remember that?
Yeah. That was great fun, Craig, and it was a privilege to be there, mate. And I know I'm one of those very small number of men that's had a big impact on your life. At least you told the crowd there on that night, and I've always been very proud of that.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, Craig, I imagine your reinvention, because everything comes to an end.
Yeah.
That's why I plan to sell everything before that happens. That's why I buy, build, sell and start businesses as opposed to keeping them forever. Everything has a hiatus. I imagine in the reinvention of yourself, it's going to include an information marketing business or something similar, I expect.
You know what? At this stage, here's something interesting. I've had a couple of people approach me already. I've got a very good friend who has a reasonably successful in the construction industry business, supplying construction industry, doing different things. Quite successful. Wanted me to buy into his business. And you know what? I looked at it and I went, I don't want something I have to turn up to every day. I have to be there from 7 in the morning till 5 at night. I have to deal with staff. I have to deal with customers. And I have to sit in front of a computer and answer phones and just be normal. Whereas back in the old days, I would have jumped on that. It's probably a great business to be in, but compared to what I know now, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole.
Yeah, well, you had what I called the litmus test, Craig, in your head. You knew what you would or wouldn't do for money, and you ran it past your litmus test, and the answer was pretty clear. I don't want to do this for money. So I imagine you haven't quite figured out what you're going to do, but it's going to fit the criteria when you do it.
Totally, it's going to be along these lines, because it's, once you've done it, it's real easy to repeat it again.
So watch this
You know,
space,
and
what you're telling us. Watch this. Yeah.
and the freedom that it gives you, you know, it's phenomenal. The choices it gives you, the choices, that's the interesting thing. It gives you so many more choices than, you know, traditional business is great. It's better. If you're successful in traditional business, it's fabulous. But compared to this, it doesn't even rate.
Yeah. So, Craig, is there anything else you want to add, mate, or otherwise I'll move on? We've got some questions you might like to help me with that have been put to us. Anything else you'd like to add for the folks listening to this? They're in your moccasins, mate, where you were 12 years ago when you were introduced to this information and knowledge. In fact, they've got...
Well, all I can say about that is you're definitely on the right path. Be open to opportunity, because it will come. You know, I saw plenty of different things come along when I got into your environment, and I was lucky enough. I suppose my eyes were wide open and glary-eyed, and I saw all the shiny objects coming, and you were good enough to sort of slow me down a little bit and say, just wait, Craig, or, you know, there's things coming, they'll be more suited to you, and you're right, you know.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Because I'm a firm believer in not pushing the universe. You know, the universe has a habit of whacking you right between the eyes with a piece of 3x2 if you do.
Yeah.
So, mate, we'll move on to the Q&A, and maybe you can help us with it. I'll give it first go. So this has come from Carl Quested. Is there a different formula to follow for copy from business to business to consumer, or should we just treat them exactly the same? Well, it's interesting, Craig, that you probably had a mixture of both in your rooms at various stages. You had the opportunity seeker, who would more or less be business to consumer, but you also had business owners in the room. And trust me, business owners, particularly if they're in bricks and mortar like you were, they're looking for another opportunity. So I'll give my answer first, and here's my answer. My answer is people buy, businesses don't buy. So the answer is no, you don't change what you say. What you do is you change how you say it. So it depends on the particular scenario, of course, but there's 5 emotions that cause a business person to buy, and there's 5 emotions that cause a consumer to buy, and those 5 emotions I affectionately call E factors, and they are love, greed, guilt, fear and pride. Now, I'd go as far as to say, because everyone seems to think business to business is different. Well, it's not, as I repeat. A business doesn't buy from you. A person within that business buys from you. And they have the same E factors affecting them every single day: love, greed, guilt, fear and pride. Now, you'll remember, Craig, Carl and Mark Seltz from All Heads. We sent a silver platter in a red velvet-lined box to the head of Kmart in Sydney. We sent it from Melbourne. It cost $100 to buy, and in there was a 6-page sales letter that said, we want you to buy our heads. We want your organisation, Kmart, to get your heads for cars from our business. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to, every time you buy 5 heads, we're going to give you the 6th one free. That same message had already been enormously successful to accountants. To mechanics, and all we did was simply send it to a massive business like Kmart. And by the way, if you mess up that motor, we'll fix it, even if you wreck it putting in the car. You know, I mean, it was irresistible. The guy in charge of Kmart picked up the phone the day he got the silver platter. Note, we used a silver platter to get his attention, and he said, can I come and have a look at your factory next week, and I'll bring my 2IC with me. Now, it's history now that silver platter letter sent once signed up Kmart. Now, if you ever want, and God knows what that was really worth in dollars and cents. So we'll never actually know that figure. But the bottom line is no, you don't change what you say, you change how you say it. Now, one of the things you have to find out is the language of the industry. So when you're talking to B2B, you need to talk in B2B language. That's the other thing you need to consider. So I call it affinity. So Craig has an affinity with a particular industry. In this case, it was, how to write PowerPoints. He soon had an affinity with, how to start a business stopping people smoking. So there's a particular language that they use that you must follow. Craig, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, look, I've been asked similar questions, and my answer is basically the same lines, but I just say it a lot simpler. It's actually interesting that when you're selling to people, you do have to tailor your message, even if it's not business to business, even if it is business to consumer, because people are people, but people are different. Some people are calming in their personality, they're quiet, they're reserved. Other people are right over the top and loud and abrupt. So you have to change your message to suit the type of person. And I've been asked this many times because quite often our quit specialists would want to go to big corporations to sell the service to the business, which was a whole other story. But they said to me, how do I approach the person, the CEO? And I'd use the example. Okay, so your client that you saw, the mum and dad, or the mother or the father down the road that you saw last week, were they human? And they'd obviously answer yes, they are. I say, okay, so the CEO of BHP is a guy. Is he human? And they go, well, yeah. I say, well, again, he buys with the same emotions as the mum and dad down the road. What's in it for me is what they really want to know.
Yep.
And, it's the same as what you've said now, but just, in my simple message. But I agree. It doesn't matter who you talk to. I think you have to adapt to the personality of the person. Simple as that. I mean, I've sold back in the day when I was a builder, I used to sell pools to mum and dads of a night time, and I also sold 2 pools, one just under $1 million and one just over $1 million, and one was to a caravan park with basically a family-owned caravan park. The other one was to Coffs Harbour City Council. I sat down in front of the councillors, one meeting, walked out with a signed contract for $950,000.
Yeah, beautiful. Classic example. And by the way, your analogy was just as good as mine, Craig. It was a great analogy. People would clearly understand that. The head of, such an organisation as a mining company as opposed to someone else. So they'll get that, mate. It makes perfect sense, and thanks for that. I'll just move on to the next question. Do you have a specific approach for testing your copy? I only have an emailing list of around 2,000 and worry that trying to test on a small sample will simply be too small. Well, 2,000 is plenty. Of course, the question is the quality of that 2,000. What were they interested in? How much money did they spend? How recently did they spend any money with you? So, the argument is the market, the avatar determines everything. So one of the things I like to do is, if I had a list, I'd be asking that list what they want, as opposed to you necessarily testing your copy by wondering whether what they want, whether they'll want it or not. But 2,000 is ample. Most definitely. I'd probably test 500 to start with, and then you can roll it out if you have some success there. But more importantly, if you've got a list of people, rather than being Einstein and reinventing the wheel, my preference is to do a survey and find out exactly what they do want. This is assuming you don't know that already, but this answer is for everybody. I'd be doing my test and finding out via survey what it is they want most, because as Craig has clearly pointed out, folks, we build the product last. It's transformational, but we build the product last. And the way we do that is we find out what the market wants, and then we build the product to match the market. Craig, did you want to add something to that, mate?
Yeah, look, I've got some gold with this as well. We also sold a 5-star luxury trip to Egypt. Has nothing to do with anything except we just had great contacts, private access to everything. It was a $8,500 trip for 14 days. They had to get themselves to Cairo and get themselves home, but basically from there on everything was covered. And our database was about, I don't know, 60,000 maybe, quite large. We would send a whole series of emails out to our entire database, not really a message market match, but the database was huge, so we figured that, you know, small percentage that responded would be great. I had a lot to do with the technical stuff with the company, like emails, websites, all that sort of thing. We would send out copy that was really good copy. And, you know, we'd get okay response. I then created websites that were really sexy looking, so lots of pictures. We used the copy throughout the website. This was a test that we did. We then sent just a quick little short email saying, hey, we've got some information about Egypt or whatever, go and click on here and, you know, have a look at it. The week that we did change that model and sent short emails and sent them to a really sexy page, it was exactly the same copy as the long format emails that we'd been sending them. We signed up 8 people in a week.
So what's the point you're making here, Craig? The short emails?
Yeah, you know what? The short emails driving them, I think things have changed. My experience is things have changed from what they used to be, because people get so many emails. Like just before the webinar started, I hadn't turned my emails on for a week. I just went through and deleted like 150 emails, didn't even read them.
Yep.
You need something catchy and short that's going to get their attention quickly, and then want them to actually click on something and take them somewhere for more information.
Yeah, very true.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And the more interactive you can make it where they go to, the more interesting. You know, it proved it. It was the same copy. They'd been sent it 5 times in an email.
Yeah.
We then sent the same people short emails and sold like 8.
Yeah. So you didn't have to write the big long copy anymore, because you took them to some form of landing page where you told the whole story. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the same. It was the same copy that was in the previous email we'd already sent them.
Yeah, gotcha. So one of the great things, of course, is to have a video you can click on in your email. That's still working better than anything. Even in my blogs these days, I do a video as well as a short email introduction into the blog, and they click on that, and that's what takes them to the blog. The other thing is you can use free baits. You know, they love templates and checklists. You'll note that most of the gurus these days are giving away something first. They're making deposits in their emotional bank account in order to, you know, sell them the whole enchilada down the track. So I imagine you've done that very successfully too, Craig.
You know what? That emotionally, as a marketer, I found that to be a difficult thing to get your head around. I know it's right, I know it works, but I think the people need to, if they're going to do that, they need to own it and do it because it's worth doing. But I think a lot of them will find it hard to be giving away, and not asking for a sale, then ask for a sale. It's just emotionally for people, you've got to get your head around it and know that it's going to work. Yeah. From my own personal experience, I know it seems to be a hard thing for people to get their head around. I don't know. But it does work. It's the right thing to do.
Well, I've always been a bit crude, Craig, at various times when I'm explaining this, but you know, if you go out tonight hoping to get laid, get lucky and catch a girl, you just might. But it's highly unlikely. Generally speaking, it's going to take some deposits in her emotional bank account before you get lucky. Just occasionally it might work your way, but this idea of you walking up to the steps, unbuckling your belt, thinking you're going to get laid tonight is really not going to happen. So it's the same where clients are concerned. You know, you can't just go for the sale. You've got to make investments in these clients, including free stuff. And then, of course, it's like foreplay, if you like. You know, then you don't really have to work that hard any longer because the sale is just a natural progression in what you're doing. So it's a bit silly that we think we can just, you know, sell them out of the gate. And Craig's made some great points too here today, folks. There's the amount of clutter and the consumption issue in the email box is making it enormously difficult to stand out. And one way to stand out is to have a video in your email. Of course, the most important thing is the subject line. And the big thing we use there is curiosity. And, you know, you might even use the word template and checklist in your subject line as your free thing. Or video reveals. You know, you've got to get it read and open, you know, number one. So there's more emails than there's ever been, and Craig, no doubt, you know, intends to get back to some stuff tonight, and I do too, but with this consumption issue and demands on our time and all of that today, we just, as much as we want to, we just can't get back to it. Did you want to add anything when I go on to the last question, Craig? We're running out of time fast.
Let's go to the next one.
Beaut, mate. Well, thanks for that, Carl. I appreciate your question. And number 3, this is Carl again. How do you choose which idea to pursue and which to park? Do you have a specific formula or process you follow? Did you want to answer this one, Craig, and I'll go second?
You know what? We've probably covered it before. I mean, you've just got to ask your audience, your list, your people, what it is they want, and then deliver what they want, because you're not your client, you never will be, and you will never be able to guess what they want. We had another program that we sold. It was basically a seminar in a box. One of our older introductory personal development seminars that we were selling to people. It was a great business. It was loaded up with tons of bonuses, and we always seemed to have trouble. People didn't see the value in it, and we struggled to sell it, and we shouldn't have, because it was probably one of the best programs that we actually ever sold to anybody. And one day, by accident, I found the secret formula they wanted. I offered that to the group before the training, and we ended up with the biggest group in that training ever in the entire time we were selling it, in 4 or 5 years, because I found the secret thing that the customer wanted, and I gave it to them for free as a bonus. And it was valued at, it was actually a sales presentation for a specific thing, valued at 20 grand. The program we were selling them was 5 grand. I gave them a 20 grand bonus that they actually wanted, and so they bought the business program to get the free thing that was valued at so much money. And it took 4 years to find it.
Yeah.
But when I found it, it was like the sweet spot. And stupid me, I should have even realised it way sooner, knowing what I knew. But I suppose just lots going on. But when I found it, it just turned the whole thing around. So you don't know what to pursue, and you don't know what to park. You have to ask your audience or your people what they want, and then give them what they want, and they'll buy it.
Yeah, and of course, again, you use that strategy I talk about called making your bonus your product. It's one of the most powerful things you can ever embrace. Give away part of a profit you don't have to get a profit you never would have had, which is what you did there. But you got the 5 grand by giving away a $20,000 product, and that was the bonus. So I say make your bonus your product. And obviously that rang heavily in your ears over the years, Craig, and precipitated you realising.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, we've done it for different things, but
Yeah.
I should have realised what it was they wanted first, but I had to be told. They told me what they wanted, and as soon as they did, it took me a week to create the product, and that's it. It's done now, and you can sell it over and over again. It's there forever, and they just keep wanting it. The new people coming along want the same thing because people are people. Um, you know, it was a way for them to make more money. They could see how they could make money with that, whereas the program we were selling them, even though I could see how they could make money from it and I was doing it every day of the week, they couldn't necessarily see it until they got this extra bonus, and then their alarm bells went off and went, wow, we can do this, and they buy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and they went on to be, a lot of them went on to be very, very successful with it, which is great, you know.
Yeah, look, I've used this strategy time and time again, Craig. I prefer not to do a business that can't utilise making your bonus your product. And there's stories like, you know, when I said come to my seminar and get a $1,800 trip to Hawaii by attending my seminar, which was $2,500 to attend. You know, you got 2 tickets to Hawaii when you came to an event. I mean, trust me, the event was full. They came
Yeah.
to get the tickets to Hawaii. I was making the bonus your product. My conversation I had with myself was, how can I get people to attend a seminar when they don't want to? Oh,
Yeah.
holiday in Hawaii. And I have people today that still remember me for when they were lying on the beach, the white sandy beach of, what's the beach there in Hawaii, Craig? It's White Sands, isn't
I
it?
don't know. One place I haven't been is Hawaii.
Oh, well, you should put it on your bucket list, mate. But here's another thing where this
Yeah.
bonus is a product story. The best thing you can give away is time with the guru. I bet you've done that, Craig. Now, most people don't ever take it up. Whenever I ask anyone, you know, what made you buy my products, they all say the fact that I got you, Mel, to help me, or I could work with you, or I could have time with you. So that's a great way to make your bonus your product. Craig, is that true too, mate, for you?
Yeah, look, I've done that. I've done that a bit. I've included some time with different things. You know, actually, well, in saying that, part of the bonus that I'm talking about was where I actually taught the room how to use the bonus,
Yeah.
using my testimonials from other speakers that I'd made hundreds of thousands of dollars for. And I'm sure that the fact that I was actually teaching them how to deliver the presentation and show them what to say and how to say it, I gave them a recording of that training. That was the reason they took it up. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done it. I've done it
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. No surprises, mate. They wanted you there for sure. Okay. Now, also,
Oh well, yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. I'll tell you, no,
No, go ahead.
no, it's okay.
You
Oh, I've
sure?
got there's training happening next week that I'm actually not going to be at. There was a guy coming from Melbourne to repeat it, and he said I saw him the other week, and he said I was specifically coming to see you train, and I'm not even there. So yeah. So anyway, it's it. Yeah, people value when you deliver quality material, you know, which is really rewarding. That's the other thing. It's not just about the money, Mel. It's about, you know, I used to, or I still do, I get a great thrill out of seeing the people that I've worked with become successful and use what I've taught them. And, you know, it's a great way to live your life.
It certainly is. I want to contribute a bit more where this question is concerned, ideas to pursue. Now, I would argue you don't want another idea. Ideas are sort of a dime a dozen. What you want is you want a starving crowd. What you want is a bunch of people who have a problem, and you want those people to have money. Okay? No point trying to help broke people. You can help them later on when you're rich. But the idea, the thought that you need an idea is inaccurate. Don't go looking around for an idea. Go looking for a problem to solve for a group of people who have money that can afford to pay you. that you can access, that is, you can get to them, that is, there's media that you can communicate with them affordably, predictably and reliably. If you can't do that, don't do it. There's also a marketing message you can create that's congruent with that group of people. In other words, they have a problem and you can solve it and you can articulate that to them. So you can get to them, you know where they are, you know who they are. But don't come from idea. Go looking for problems to solve. And of course, Craig will tell you the best problem to solve is the opportunity to make money problem. Nothing will sell as fast. You know, we only want a cure to cancer when we have it, folks. It's very hard to sell prevention. What people want more than anything, until they don't have it, which is their health, is they want money. And as Craig has rightfully pointed out today, he wouldn't sell anything else. Mal Emery wouldn't sell anything else either. I'm not going to go into a business and make it hard for myself. I want business to be easy, and the easiest product to sell on the planet is the opportunity to make money. Now, in your package that you have, you should study this section on research, how you do your research, how you test things. And of course, today, not in Craig's time and not in my time, you've got the lowest hanging fruit on the planet. It's called Facebook. You get to test. You get to write some ads and pay a few pennies to test them. Trust me, guys, when I first got into the information business, I had to run an ad in a newspaper. The ad that launched this business today, 30 years later, cost me $10,000 to test a full-page ad. Here you've got Facebook. You know, from my point of view, this whole internet thing is still ground zero. In years from now, we're going to talk about the fact that we could run ads on Facebook for pennies and test things. Social media has landed in your laps, folks. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. You know, there's training available on how to write great ads for Facebook and Google AdWords and these sorts of things. And I just want to hear what Craig has to say. But it's called research. Do the research. Craig, over to you.
I created a product on how to do Facebook ads because we actually filled some of our events through Facebook.
Okay.
And then I then sold it to the attendees who had booked for the event through Facebook so they could use it in their business.
How smart is that, Craig?
Oh, and they knew it worked because I was standing up telling them. I said, how many of you came from Facebook ad? They all put their hand up. I said, who'd like to know how I did that? And then I sold them a product that I created that, you know, anyway. It's easy now. It's easy.
Yeah, it is, isn't it, mate? But, you know, you got yourself into a position that you made it easy, and that has to be acknowledged. So well done, mate. Well done. And I hope that your stories really help these folks today in terms of where they're at, because they're confused. They're trying to figure it all out. And, you know, it's great to get you along to share, you know, your insider secrets of how you went from traditional bricks and mortar guy to the guy you are today, where, you know, today you can stop what you're doing, not have to worry about where the next dollar is going to come from to some extent, because you know you're just going to follow the formulas. And nothing better than the information marketing business online, because, you know, the playing field has suddenly made it easy for the little guy to do very, very well, because the big guys just haven't figured this sucker out, ladies and gentlemen. This is a chance of a lifetime. It's not going to come around. It's the greatest opportunity any of us. God knows what Craig would have been doing for a living, or I would have been doing for a living if it hadn't happened. I don't know, Craig, you got any ideas where you'd be, mate?
Well, I would have been broke a few times over and probably half dead by now, worn out.
So there you go.
The one thing you mentioned, Mel, the beautiful thing about this, it's like a tap, and you can turn it on and off whenever you like.
Yeah.
You know, there'd be times where we would work 150 days of the year. Now, that might not sound a lot, but when you're doing events, you know that 150 event days is an awful lot of events in a year. But then there'd be other times where we worked for 3.5 weeks for the year, and that was it. You know, so it's just the beauty of this business is you can turn it on and off whenever you want to or whenever you need to.
Yeah, you're not chained to some cash register, that's for sure. And I've always advocated, Craig, that this is manual labour. I always said to you and everyone else, it's manual labour. Hopping on those planes and doing these events, there's a heck of a lot of work involved. But compared to what, though? You know, how
Oh
do
yeah,
you're getting up at 2
for
o'clock
sure.
in the morning to look after a horse or something and shoveling shit half the day, and you know that those guys work. We don't work. And look at the money we can make in big chunks, Craig, compared to other people. We're paid handsomely for our skills, but there's the important thing. You have mastered certain skills, Craig, that most people will not master or do not ever master.
Oh,
And
that was something else I wanted to mention, Mel.
go ahead,
You know
buddy.
this for sure. I've invested very, very heavily in my education.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, that's the other thing that I need to stress to anyone listening to this. If you're serious about doing this type of a thing, there's a lot to learn. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. It's not traditional school, and even if it was, how much, my son's going to university at the moment, 30, 40 grand for his university degree. At the end of it, he's going to come out with a job,
yeah.
So I've spent way more than that on my education, but it's made me millions and millions of dollars part-time
Yeah.
in the last 10 years. My lifestyle in the last 8 years especially has been phenomenal.
Yep.
My friends can't believe what it's been like. When I talk about or they see me, some of the things that I've been able to do, they're getting up every day going to work. They don't get what I do. They don't understand it. They don't want to invest in themselves. And you can't force people. But if you're listening to this, you obviously are investing in yourself. Don't stop investing in yourself. Keep investing, because there is so much more you can learn, and every dollar you put into yourself, you'll get back 10 times.
And just quietly, Craig, I'm spending tens of thousands of dollars still on myself every year. One event alone cost me 30 odd K.
Yeah.
One course online I purchased recently, 12,000 American dollars. I'm staying ahead of my game. I'm staying on top of my game. That's the whole idea. I'm really choosy about who I spend my money with. They've got to have walked the walk and talked the talk as well, but have done it, lived in my moccasins, in other words, and earned and created more success than I've created for myself. So, I'm very choosy, but at the same time, great point, Craig. I really appreciate the fact that you added that at
Well,
the end.
I have an amazing program that you'd probably like to sign up to, Mel. It's only $35,000, specially designed for you.
What's that, mate? Go ahead. I'll give him a credit card.
Yes, it's a special program. It'll enhance your life dramatically, and it's completely tailored to your lifestyle.
And you'll be my coach?
And I'll be your coach. I'll be your personal coach.
So there you go, folks. Craig, can these guys get hold of you somehow? Can they get hold of that Facebook course, for example? Could you make that available, or don't you have the rights to it?
Yeah, no, I own the rights to it. Yep.
Where could
sure,
the guys?
They could email me. You want me to give them that?
Yeah, look,
Gmail?
by all means, it's one of the reciprocal things we do here. Are you prepared to make it available to them for free? Or you want to charge?
No, because I actually have to produce it. So and there's no. It was a product that I did. It wasn't a back-end product. It was just an add-on product that I sold at events. We sold it for $197. It's probably the best $197 I'll ever spend on Facebook marketing if they want to learn how to do it.
So if they send you an email with their credit card details, you'll sell that to them, what, $197? Is that the price?
Yep, that's what it is.
All right, so where can they send this email to, Craig?
I'll spell it, CRAIGGY31 @gmail.com, only because I don't always have my computer with me. That's on my phone, so it's easier. So CRAIGGY31
We'll just put that in the chat box somewhere, wherever that is. Jace, can you put that in the chat box, please, so Craig can just repeat that? Chat box, yeah. So we're trying to do that. So that might be it. So what is it, Craig?
CRAIGGY
GGY
31
yeah.
at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. There you go, guys. Craig's just told you it's the best and $197 you'll ever spend in your life. And trust me, Facebook is the low-hanging fruit, folks, and very few people. There's been some research. I haven't got it in front of me right now, but the amount of people spending money on Facebook that are making virtually nothing is ridiculous. Most people are making nothing. A few people are making peanuts, and there's some guys like Craig that are absolutely killing it. So if you get a chance, and this is all impromptu, Craig and I didn't plan this, but if I can make him a few dollars here, I'm happy to. He's kindly given his time. He's obviously walked the talk. He's filled seminars with this, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I'm going to buy it, Craig. Can I buy it, mate?
Oh, how about I send it to you for free now as a gift? Because, you know, you've been good to me over the years.
Well, I'd be happy to pay for it. I'm just being serious here. So I'll leave it up to you, mate. I'm going to send you my credit card after this, and I'll leave it up to you as to whether you charge me or not, or whether you just send it to me. But I want one of those because I'm not crazy. I know when I've got a guy that knows what he's doing where Facebook's concerned. So, folks,
I've got plenty of clients using it that are doing really, really well with their Facebook marketing. So, yeah.
Well, you've proven it.
I've got one fellow, one of our quit specialists. He will spend $200 and create 10 grand for a 3-day weekend.
Using Facebook, right?
Using Facebook. $200 spend turns it into 10 grand, and he does it every month.
How would you like to spend that $200 every month, or even arc it up and spend, you know, $400? I know of nothing to match this industry, folks. It's been fascinating listening to you, Craig. I'm so happy for you, mate, and your successes. You certainly have deserved it and you've earned it, but nothing quite like the information marketing business. So thanks for making yourself available today. I really appreciate it, Craig.
Pleasure. Thanks, Mel. Good luck,
everybody. All right, mate. We'll be in touch. Cheers, buddy. Bye.